Hello there, you gorgeous lot. Welcome back to another fantastic show here on Crafters TV. Oh, we're still getting a little bit of music there. I love those opening credits. Right, this is of course a masterclass. We're going to learn loads of fabulous techniques over the next couple of hours. This one is going to be all about stamping as well. It's going to be a perfect opportunity for you to get any questions that you have at all whatsoever about stamping into me. Details along the bottom of the screen as they always are. And it's going to be a great couple of hours because she is back. The head mistress of Crafters TV is with me. Once again, Jan is here, and I know stamping, Jan, right up your street, isn't it?
Absolutely, honestly. It's where I started out my crafting journey, and I still love it to this day, Joe. So yeah, we're going to go in depth. If you were watching us last weekend with the Craft Vault, when we did our Spectrum Noir, and we did all loads of techniques and things, that's where we're heading today. So this time, based on stamping, we're going to look at different types of stamps. We're going to look at different types of apparatus to stamp with, the different ink pads, the different types of paper and card that we stamp on, what makes it work, what doesn't. So yeah, absolutely, Dan. I've thrown a few demos in on the way, mixing it in so that it's not just all techniques, but again, want to try and get as much as we can and answer any questions that you've got out there about stamping as well. So fire away.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be very educational. Definitely one of those shows that you're going to want to bookmark and save and come back to for reference at a later point. I want to dive right in and share with you some tools that are on the show that are going to make your stamping journey so much easier. We're going to start off with the hero tool when it comes to stamping. It is, of course, the stamping platform with the magnetic base, $19.99 or $23.99. Brilliant that you've got that on a 20% saving. Not often we will that big saving out for you. Rocker blocks, these are also fundamental when it comes to your stamping. Great for smaller stamps, $9.99 or $13.99 if you want to get the 4-pack. There is a 2-pack available for you as well. It's right here, $19.99 or $13.99 if you want to get your hands on those particular ones. We also have the Nina cardstock. That's a really interesting picture. That you'll have to just imagine what that cardstock looks like. $4.99 and $6.99, two for £12. Or you won't just get the label, you will actually get the cardstock as well. But it is white, so yes, so there's that one for you. We also have the craft mat available. This is brilliant, especially if you may be crafting in a smaller space. You need to pack it away. It's going to allow you to do all of those inky techniques on there. The watermark translucent clear ink pad, great for all of your heat embossing. $4.99 or $7.95. We do have the Tim Holtz ink pads back in stock as well now on this show. We'll be taking you through those a little later. They are over on the website under the shop the show button, along with everything else. There is so much packed into this show, so definitely worth checking that out early doors and having a little look at what is coming up. As I said earlier, any questions that you've got whatsoever, great chance to get them into us today. Crafters TV on Facebook, Crafters Companion if you're over on YouTube. Maybe we'd like to see people's stamping projects, Jan, as well. What do you think?
Why not? I always love to see people's projects.
Yeah, some gorgeous pickies of your stamped projects. Yeah, send them into us. studio@crafterscompanion.co.uk. Details are just there on the bottom of your screen. But let's dive right in. Let's have a look at the first item that we've got coming up on the show today. One that I know Jan absolutely love. It is your rotating stamps. Now these are awesome because it's one stamp set. You ink it up with your different colours as you rotate it round, and it builds into this really full, lush, gorgeous design. And you get the sentiment which goes in the centre of there that you can interchange as well. So you're going to receive the Meadow Wreath. You're also going to get the Butterfly Roses here as well. This one is your Rustic Botanicals, really nice. I love the colourway there on that one. And you've then got Butterfly Wishes in there. Can you have too many butterflies in your stash? No. The answer is no. $25.98 or $29.90. Now that's what you should be paying for 2 of these. You're going to send you 4 of them for that price. A great half price deal. Everyone's going to pay less than half price as well because you're going to be using your Club Inspired discount there as well. Loads of you tuning in, saying hello. Keep getting your questions in. I'll put them over to Jan as we go. Lots of people though, and I've really been looking forward to this show, Jan, myself included. So I can't wait to learn lots of lovely techniques.
Right, so we're going to literally take it right back to basics. And again, if you've got any questions at all, I will try my best to answer them for you. Sometimes it's as simple as using the right cardstock, having the right... We talked about using product for purpose when I was here on Sunday with the Spectrum Noir. So it's about choosing the right ink pad for the job that you want it to do. And that's what I'm going to try and go through and clear up any sort of misunderstandings with them today. So that we start right at the beginning, and I've just pulled a selection of stamps out of my own stash at home. Some of them are on the show today. This is quite an old one. I actually struggled to find a rubber stamp because the majority this day and age tend to be in the acrylic version.
We used to do quite a lot of rubber stamps, didn't we?
We used to sell a lot, and I've got a lot at home, but obviously they're all filed away because I use some of the newer stuff. And as I say, I had to proper rummage through one of the boxes to find an old rubber stamp. So yeah, you've basically got three categories with stamps. You've got an acrylic version, and we've got lots of these on the show today. These are just that lovely fancy little saying. Some of them involving gin, some involving Prosecco, some of them just involving any old thing about flamingos and you name it. Have a look through on the website, there's loads of them. We're going to come to these as an actual project later on in the show. But an acrylic stamp is a clear cling stamp. So what I mean by that, if I take this off its carrier page, it literally, and it's not the easiest thing to see with it being clear, but it is literally just a piece of clear acrylic, and it's quite thin, but it just allows you to actually use this onto your chosen apparatus and it will cling straight to it. So for example, if you're using an acrylic block, literally it will just stick straight to it and you're good to go with your stamping. All right, it may be that you're using the stamping platform, it may be that you've got some of our rocker blocks. I'll come into these a bit more detail as well later in the show, but yeah, it will just literally cling for purpose and it's ready to go. And then you come on to photopolymer stamps, which are a form of acrylic. So I'm just going to get one of this Sassy and Classy because we've got those out on the show today. And it is a form of acrylic, but it's actually sort of superior quality, if you want for a better word. It's slightly thicker. It's not easy to see here on air with it, but one of the best ways of telling the difference is to look at the thickness. And I find that the photopolymer ones have got just a little bit of odour to them as well.
Bit of a whiff.
There's no real sort of difference as to, you know, when you're stamping them, you will still, if you're using the right products, the right ink, the right cardstock, etc., you will still get a good image. It's just that the photopolymer ones, I want to say are a little bit better made, so they've probably got a bit more longevity for you if you're using them and looking after them. So there's not a lot of difference between acrylic, and photopolymer is a type of acrylic. And again, you know, depending on what collections we do, I'm not quite sure how it's decided as to which ones are acrylic and which ones are photopolymer. So very, very similar to look at and to use. And then you will also get rubber stamps, which again, as I say, this is a really old one. This one was brought out with some of our stencils a couple of years ago, I think. And again, these normally come to you on an A5 size, and you cut these out. So with this, I would have taken, when I first got these, I would have taken my scissors, whichever you're most comfortable with, and just cut around the outline of the stamp there. And just leave sort of a couple of mil all the way around so that you're not in danger of cutting the edge of your stamped image. And basically take away all the stamps from the packaging and get them all cut out ready. And then these are not tacky in their own right. So when they come to you, the rubber is actually not tacky. So this one's not been used for a long time. If I put this on here, it's not going to stay.
Right.
Okay. So again, you've got choices with the rubber stamps. In the olden days, when I first started stamping, we used to buy a cushion that went on here in the form of things like Easy Mount, which I think we still sell on the website. And you basically stuck your stamp to that first and then cut round it, and it popped a little cushion in there. These days, we tend to go with a stamping mat rather than that. This provides the cushion. So if you have the stamping mat underneath, you can go with this straight on your block, but we've still got the issue of the fact that it's not sticking. So the one product I find best for this is our repositionable spray. So stick and spray obviously is sort of a temporary adhesive, and if you just, I'm just going to grab a little bit of card to catch the excess, but just give this a little short spritz with the adhesive and then leave it for 30 seconds or so. You just need that excess, the carrier in the aerosol to actually evaporate. And then once you've done that, this will now stick to your chosen apparatus. So you can see this time now that we've actually got that in place, ready to stamp with time and time again. And it will peel off, and I tend to stick them back in my packet, come and use it again next time, and you've got a stamp ready to go. And eventually that adhesive will wear off. So you don't need to reapply it every time you stamp, but you probably will need to reapply it maybe sort of every half a dozen times.
Could you just spray your block rather than spraying your stamps?
I suppose you could. Yeah, you could, but then you would end up with the tacky all round the the block or the rocker block or whatever it is you were doing. I prefer to put it just on the back of my stamp personally, but yeah, both ways would work there. And then again, by having the cushion underneath, you've got that sort of give. And the reason we need the cushion, and this works as well with all the stamps, is if you've got either rubber or acrylic on a hard block, and then you're going to stamp out onto some cardstock that's also on a hard surface, there's nowhere for that give to go. Absolutely nowhere at all. You need that little bit of cushion to help. So whether the cushion is in between the stamp and the block, or whether the cushion is in between your cardstock and the stamp in the form of a stamping mat, you've got that little bit. You can just feel that bit of give when you're stamping out. So then I'm going to talk about the inks in more detail in a second, but I'm just going to stamp this one out so that you can see where we're at with them. And I nearly always take my ink to the stamp. When I was sort of training, when I was watching and listening and sort of picking up the hints and tips for stamping, someone once said to me, keep the largest item at the bottom.
Okay.
So if your stamp's larger than your ink pad, take the ink pad to the stamp.
Right.
If you've got a little tiny stamp, you can sometimes get away with taking the stamp to the ink pad. But I nearly always, you can see better whether it's inked up by literally taking that ink pad straight to the stamp there. I'll talk about the different types of inks in a little while, but just to give it, and you'll see, I'm just using the acrylic block for this one. I'll show you the rocker block as I say we go through the show. And then of course we've got the stamping platform, which you always hear me talking about. If you're new to stamping, I would recommend trying the different ways of using the things and decide for yourself. But once you've used that magnetic base and stamping platform, I very rarely go back to anything like this or to the rocker blocks, because the beauty of that stamping platform means that if you've missed a bit of your stamp, for me to go back in now and actually line this up and get it in the right place, there's always that sort of, is it going to double shadow it? Is it going to sort of land in the right place? The stamping platform, you've actually got the security of knowing it's going to go back in the same place. So I'm just going to give that a little wipe. As far as cleaning stamps, I am not the best person to ask. Because,
oh really?
No, this is my cleaning stamps.
Well, myself and Michelle, we were blaming you for some dirty stamps just the other week, Jan. Yeah. It was mostly Michelle, to be honest. I was just an innocent bystander. Michelle's just sat just out of shot. That's why I'm just winding her up. That's all.
I know. I would contest that, you see, because I normally bring all my own stamps with me. So the fact that you'd got one here that was dirty, ooh, not sure about that. I'll let you off. I'll let you off. So yeah. So literally, just to recap, then we've got the acrylic versions. We've got the photopolymer, and then we've got that rubber version. So we've covered mainly the different types of stamps. When I started stamping, we had the rubber stamps on wooden blocks. And I bet loads of you have still got those at home. I bet you've still got them in your stash. I know I've got a load of them. And you use the the wooden block as the means of actually stamping it. So again, come a long way since then with them. So I'm just going to pop those to one side now, and I'm sort of going to do a demo with you, which we're going to try and link demos in with sort of the education aspect of it today. And again, it's going to use some of the equipment we've talked about. In particular, the one thing I haven't brought in yet is that magnetic platform. Now, the demo that I'm going to do now, this one makes the job so much easier. You can do it with a large stamping platform and your stamping mat, if that's what the apparatus you've got at home, and I'll show you how to do that. But this makes it sort of almost foolproof. And there's two main things to remember in that you need to position your cardstock and your stamp in the same place each time, making sure it's central. So we're going to have a look at those wreaths, and some of you may have seen me demo these before. It's just like, when I first saw these, it blew my mind that there were so many different elements, thinking, how on earth do you get all those colours in? It's an ingenious idea. If you haven't seen them before, you've almost got a quarter of the image, and then you rotate, which is where they get their name from. So you've actually got a stamp in here that's just sort of under 5 inches square. You can see how well loved mine is there. Let's bring the piece of card back in so you can see again. It's been inked up more times than I can remember. We talked about the pink and the purple inks. We were talking about those yesterday. The pigment to get the pink and the purple does stain the stamps. It doesn't damage them. It just makes them a pretty colour, which I don't mind. But yeah, so to actually use these, you would need probably at least the 8x8. Even if you don't have the base, you would probably need the larger platform. They will fit on the 6x6 inch stamping platform, but you don't have much room around the edge of it for sort of manoeuvrability. So I like to use the bigger one. And what I'm going to do first of all is take the stamp off the carrier, and I always keep my stamps on the carrier. I don't use any of the storage facilities. I do tend to keep them on the carrier sheets and just have them stored in I've got them all in sort of categories as to what they are. But if you have a closer look at that one, we can see that this has got 3 rounded corners and 1 pointed corner. So this is your point of reference, that pointed corner. Okay, and that's the one that I want you to concentrate on when you're stamping. So come back to that in a second. I just want to get my cardstock at the ready. So we finally got the Nina cardstock back in.
Yay.
Oh, it does take some time, honestly, and then when we get it, you buy it all and we sell out again. It's a constant battle. But yeah, I tend to use Nina more than anything when I'm stamping. It's a slightly lighter weight. I think it's 160 GSM, I think, Joe.
I believe so.
So it's a bit slightly lighter weight than the stamping card. So it doesn't put as much weight onto your finished projects, depending what you're doing. Nice smooth surface, so those inks will settle on there.
216 is?
216. So it's the papers that are the 160, aren't they? Yeah. So tip number 1 is about getting your piece of cardstock central, and this is why the grid on here is perfect. Now I know from doing this over and over and over again that I cut my cardstock larger. You can see there that that's much larger than the actual stamp. I find it easier to work on a larger piece and cut it down than actually having a piece that's the same size as this and having to position it. So my piece of card I think is 7 inches square, if I remember rightly. Yeah, 7 inches square. And I know from previously doing this that I've got a row of 2 squares all the way around my grid, and you want to be as accurate as you can, and it's worth taking the time at the beginning to get this bit right and to get the stamp bit right, and then you're actually rocking with it. If your card's not aligned properly, when you rotate the stamp, it's not going to land in the right place to create the design. So it's crucial that you get this in the right place. Now you can actually use your stick and spray on the stamping base, and I know our Debs Fisher, she loves to do this. I don't do it. I prefer it to be
she's your nemesis with this. Nemesis.
But yeah, I prefer it to be nice and smooth, but I know Debs actually puts this onto her platform so that she can then anchor the cardstock. I'm happy with the magnets on mine. So again, all about preference. There's no right with it, there's no wrong way with it. But cardstock in place, and then I'm going to bring that base back in, and I'm going to put the card underneath it so that you can see, because the second tip is that it's crucial to get your stamp central on here as well. So we've got the grids, we've got the crosshairs, and again, I think we're looking at 5 if I remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 squares all the way around the grid. Now on mine at home, because I've used these such a lot, I've actually got a little dot on my platform at home, which is my key, and I'm lining up that pointed corner with that top. I've got my logo at the bottom here, and then literally just, I apologise if you can see my head there, but I want to look right over the top to get it lined up with the grid lines on that stamping platform. And as I say, it's worth taking a couple of minutes to make sure that it's as central as possible. So you can see I've followed the grid lines, and I've got the edge of the stamp as near as possible as I can possibly get aligned with the grid lines on here. So once you've got those two things in place, nothing's going to move now, and we can actually bring this back in and do the job that we're wanting to do. So perfect companion for this, and I'll talk about the inks in a bit more detail once I've done the demo, but I'm going to go with quick dry inks for this one because we're going to be repeat stamping. You want something that's going to dry instantly and no fear of it smudging as you're turning and rotating that stamp round. So I'm just going to get a white ready to take some of the inks off because we're going to use 4 different coloured inks. So I've just chosen a selection of the quick dry. I've got the parakeet, I've got lemon tonic, grasshopper and crushed velvet. So 4 nice bright colours for this one, and you'll always start with the lightest one. So I'm going to go with the yellow first. And we're going to ink up. Now the one thing that I will say about the quick dry inks is that they are on a sponge base here with the colour.
Opposed to what, Jan? What
Most of the other ink pads are on felt, so they're quite hard, whereas this one, if I just use something, you can see if I press in here, we get our Adam to come and have a look, you can see how that depresses into the sponge there. Yeah, whereas on the others you've got a flat hard surface with it. So it's worth remembering that when you're actually doing your stamping, because if you pop this on and press it down, and I will show you, you'll get ink absolutely all over your stamp. Okay, doesn't matter because the stamping platform ensures that that part of the stamp doesn't come in contact with your card, but just with a bit more gentle touch you can just literally kiss that stamp and just get ink onto the raised areas, which is the part that you actually want to work with. So it's worth bearing in mind with the, and I am very heavy-handed, I have to remind myself of this. Still caught it a little bit there, so I'm not too worried about it. And then we're going to go, first of all, in what I call position 1. And position 1 is my Crafter's Companion logo, readable in the bottom right-hand corner there. And we're just going to literally pop straight down, little bit of pressure over where all those stamp points are. And even though I've got that big smudge of yellow here, it's not going to transfer onto the card. And then when we lift that, we've got the first quarter of that design, which looks really odd when you first start, but there's no big yellow splodge from where all my ink was, so we're not too fussed about that. And then I'm just going to take this and give it a little white because I don't want to contaminate the rest of my ink pads. Okay, so just to wipe over with a wet baby wipe or a wet cloth, anything that you use. I know some people like to use the microfiber cloths. And then what I'm going to do is take my next colour and just repeat that same process. So I've gone with the green now. We've got grasshopper green. And again, nice light touch. You can see, look, I'm still being light and I'm still catching the base of the stamp. So I'll just make sure it's all inked up nicely. And then the next position, we started out here. This will overstamp what I've already done. So they get their name from the fact that we're going to rotate 90 degrees and bring that logo into position 2, which is your bottom left, and then commit to that stamp again. So just a little press over those images again, and we're going to transfer the green. So we've sort of got half of that stamp in place now. Okay? And then again, it's just a case of repeating what we've done with the other 2 colours, and each time you're going to give it a quarter turn to get to that place where you need to be in the stamp. So we've got the parakeet going in, the turquoisey colour. Okay, and again this time we need to go that quarter of a turn. So we were position 1, then we moved to position 2 with it here. I'm going to rotate again and bring that logo up to the top. Now if you've got a different type of platform that's not got a logo on it, just pop a mark or a sticker or something to give you that starting point, and then you can follow it round. It's a natural progression in the 4 corners of your stamping. So again, we've got that third element in there. You can see that wreath starting to build up now, and then we just need one more. And we're going to go with that lovely crushed velvet to finish off there. And ink up again. So it's just literally a repetitive process. It is all about getting that cardstock and the stamp in the right place to start with. The rest of it is easy. So just inking up even as lightly as I'm touching it. You can see what a mess I've made of it there. And we were in position 3 here. I need to do that final turn and bring this logo right up to the top right hand corner, which is position 4. And again, commit to the stamp. Little bit of pressure all the way around, just over where those stamped elements are. And this will fill in the last part of the wreath there. Okay, so again, I'm just going to give that a little whack, and you can see where that purple has actually just stained a bit more of the stamp, so it's getting a nice pattern on there, but it won't damage how it performs. Okay,
fantastic.
So leave that one there, and you can see now we've got that gorgeous wreath on the go. And then in your packs, you also get sentiments in there as well. So again, these are designed to fit in the centre here. So I'm going to take that big one out of the way, and I'm just going to come in with a black ink pad this time. So I think I've got, did I get it out? I've got a black quick dry somewhere amongst all the, there we go. And again, once we've got it in position, pick up the stamp, pick up the stamp and wet, that's why it's not picking up the stamp.
I think it just gives such a different effect being able to have the different array of colours, doesn't it, on the same stamp, Jan? Because there's no way you'd be able to precisely
I'm not sure
colour
how
a stamp.
else you would do that.
I mean, unless you painted it with, I mean, you just wouldn't, would you? You would not be able to get that.
Yeah, direct to the stamp with such as like the watercolour markers or something like that. I don't think, like you say, you wouldn't get the precision that we've done with the stamp there. And all I'm going to do is just ink that last one up and pop that in the centre. So this is the concept as to how they were designed. You've got that basic concept there with your sentiment in the middle. And then once you've got this in place, you can then cut this down to the size that you want to work on with your project. And that's exactly what I did. And what I also, this particular one, this is the Meadow Wreath. And there are lots of open spaces in this one. And one of my favourite things to do with this one is to just take some of my alcohol markers, and not all of it, but I've just added little bits of colour inside some of the elements with the alcohol markers. The reason I've used alcohol markers is because our quick dry inks are a water-based ink. So again, we'll talk about this in a bit more detail, but those opposites, so water-based ink, alcohol marker to colour with. Okay. So again, we've got to here. Now you can see on mine, I was really annoyed with myself that I got a smudge going on here. I must have got some, well, I've already got it on my fingers, and I've caught the edge of it. So we'll address that as well in a minute, rather than getting to this point and thinking, oh, I've got to start all over again. And what I've done with this one, I'm actually going to pop it onto the top of a box. So we'll just pop the base of it together. I've got that ready, and I've chosen some papers just to line the side of the box with. And because those tabs are quite big, I'm just going to pop a little bit of wet glue on the rest of the tab there. Normally I just use the red line tape, but we've got a good, I think it was 2.5 inch deep base on this one. And the paper I love because it matched, it seemed to pick up the elements of the stamp. It had a sort of a feel for the stamp on it, I think. So we just picked that one. I'm trying to remember which one. Did I write down where it was from? I'm trying to remember which pad it was from. I've got some of the 8x8 pads on the table at the minute, so it's either going to be the Celebration pad or the Spring
we have so
Fever.
many now, Jan. There was a point in my Crafter's Companion career by which I could name all of them.
Yeah.
Those days are gone, I'm afraid.
And then I've started decorating the top of the lid. I've just got a narrow inch deep lid, and I've just gone with some of the, oh, here we go, look, Everyday Delights. I knew I'd written it down.
Oh, yay.
Just to remember, because I've used different ones on different projects. So again, I've just got an inch on the edge of the box here, and this is going to stick on the top. So again, we're going to go, because we're working with the cardstock there, I'm going to bring out my Collal glue for that larger area. If you want to use your tape pen, the tape pen would work. And just pop this on the centre of the box. And we've got a really nice size gift box here, a bit of tissue paper inside, and whatever you're wanting to gift to someone. It could be a box full of crafty goodies, it could be a box of chockies.
Lots of lovely questions coming in, Jan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep them coming in. I'll save them up, and I reckon in about another sort of 20 minutes or so, Jan, we'll do a big, we'll have a big crafty clinic Q&A. How about that? So any more questions you've got, get them into me now. Now's a great time.
Yep. So that's what it's all about. I'll do my best to answer it. I love this type of show because it does give people a chance to message in with the questions. I know we had lots of questions when we did Spectrum Noir last week. So yeah, I will try my best to answer them for you. So I'm just going to stick that box lid together. I've got a little bit of tape on there ready, but I just want to show you the trick for actually covering up the smudge mark. I just used one of my little tiny dies, and I've just made some little, it's the old story. If you get a mark on it, stick a butterfly on it or stick a flower on it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And if I hadn't have told you it was there, nobody would be any the wiser. So just leave those two for a second. Now you could leave it at that. We'll put this onto the base, but I just want to show you taking it that extra step just by actually stamping out this part again. So I've stamped out the sentiment again and used some of our nesting dies just to actually bring this into the centre. Gives it a completely different look with that stamp all then spraying out from the centre. So whether you leave it flat, absolutely fine, or whether you actually want to pop a little raised element on there, it is entirely up to you. And again, just because we've got all that ink on there, I'm going to add a little bit of glue for insurance and pop that one just in the centre there. And then we're going to just use those last couple of little butterflies. And as I say, you've got a really nice gift box there, good size. We'll have one of those on the edge of the sentiment, and then we'll put another one lower down. So that's just using those rotating stamps. And if I turn you that one round now, you can see, and I like the fact that we've got the slightly deeper box than we have lid. So I did actually, for this size, the finished box is 6 inches square, and obviously with this depth of box I did have to use a piece of A3 to get the card in one piece. This was cut from A4, but the base was cut from A3, but you can see there just got that little extra detail, and then you've got plenty of room inside there, as I say, for a nice it'll probably fit some little cupcakes in there as well. It's deep enough to put 4 nice little cupcakes in there, Joe. You could even pick the same colours out as what you'd stamped on the top, couldn't you?
Cute.
Fantastic.
Love that idea. Just one of so many different things that you can do with those stamps. Let me take you back through the stamps, and I want to share with you some of the tools that we've got on the show. Remember what you're getting in here, 4 of them. You're only paying for 2, which is awesome. Well, I mean, using your Club Inspired discount as well, you're not even going to be paying for 2 of these. So you've got the Meadow Wreath, which is this one just here. We then also have the Butterfly Roses, as you can see just there. This one here is your Rustic Botanicals. Then you also have the Butterfly Wishes there as well. All 4 of those coming your way for that fantastic price. $20.78 or $23.92. Now, breaking news. I know we've been waiting for ages for this to happen, but the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks are back in stock. Lots of different colours over on the website. I urge you to get over there. $4.99 or $5.99. What is it about these that makes them? Where are these going to fit, Jan? Is what I was going to say, into our sort of stamping journey.
This is going to be the next segment with the.
Oh, is it? Oh, right. Well, I'll save it then in that case.
I can.
I'll save it for you.
Yeah.
Oh no! I mean, I don't want to. You know, I don't want you to peek too soon, Jan.
We're going to look at the inks and compare the differences between them in the next bit. So,
well, I think
shall we do it in there?
Let's do it then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah? Are we doing it now?
All right. Let's do it. Should we do it now?
I don't know. You tell me.
Georgina?
Are we doing it now?
We're going to hold off for a second because I want to show you another stamp set first.
Okay.
Well, I say that. I say I want to. I mean, I'm being told by Georgina, basically. I am just Georgina's puppet, essentially, during these shows. Honestly. Sometimes we cut all the strings off and we run right in the studio. Other than that, most of the time. Right, let's run through some of the tools that you... No, we're going to go to the interchangeable... We're going to the tools. Sometimes the puppet becomes the master. Right, rocker blocks, 2-piece pack first. As these ones just here, $9.99 or $13.99. If you want to go for those, you just saw Jan taking us through them. Then we've also got a set of 4 of these as well, which is fantastic. So you can go for those, $9.99 or $13.99. You've got the mat, which gives you some cushion to press against. You can go for that one just there. There's also the 6x6 platform. This is great for those smaller stamps that you might want to use in conjunction with the stamping mat. I'm going to call it the stamping cushion from now on, because that's what it is.
What are we on?
The stamping mat. I'm going to call it the stamping cushion.
You want to call it a cushion? Why
not?
Why not?
Or you can go for the stamping platform and magnetic base. Or if you're feeling, oh no, it hasn't got it on in Spanish. Oh, I was going to say it in Spanish. $19.99 or $23.99 if you want to go for that one just there. I've had 6 days off, Jan, and I am totally out of practice, I must say. Well, it was Michelle that was leading me astray in the earlier wake-up call, but yeah, now I haven't got my teeth in. I don't think. I don't know what's going on. What I do want to share with you, though, talking about wake-up call, I'm very giddy. Who knows what I'm going to be like by the end of Sunday? I want to talk you a wake-up call. I want to go back and show you the amazing layering stamps that we had. It's the interchangeable stamp and stencils that we're looking at here. These are loads of fun, really great in the same way that you can incorporate lots of colours into the same projects as Michelle did in that earlier wake-up call show. So you've got holly and poinsettia. Nice, there's a mix of everyday and festive ones as well. So they're your 2 festive ones, that one and this one here, which is the Yuletide foliage. Then we also have the classy florals. You've got the violet roses, which are these ones here, and also the wild meadow there for you. Platinum members, you're looking at $41.57 or $47.84, which is fantastic. Right, we're going to do we're going to have some education, or I've been in Italy, so I'm sure it's educazione. I think I can speak Italian after 1 weekend away, Jan. Mi dispiace, mi italiano non è molto buono, which means I can't speak Italian.
Well, we've got
which ironically is the only thing I can say.
Ben with the French yesterday, and now you're with the Italian. It's
yeah, I can say gelato, Chianti, Prosecco.
Pizza.
Pizza. Mastered that. I'm about 80% pizza after the weekend, honestly. Any last minute questions you've got, though, do get them in, and then we'll do a bit of a Q&A with Jan after this section, if that works for you. Loads of lovely comments coming in. Diane says, lovely colours you've used. Paula says, once again, thank you for all the tips. You're such a great teacher. I'm learning so much. Violet's looking forward to the inky section. Astrid said, I've got Jan's fabulous tutorials on in the kitchen. I'm baking blueberry muffins.
Oh, I've got the perfect gift box to put them in then.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You send us the muffins, though, rather than us sending you the box, if that's all right, Astrid. Carrie says, maybe send 8. I know there's only going to be 4 in there. Maybe send 8. Jan always gives us the best instructions and tips, says Carrie. Nefertiti says, Jan's class is in session. I've already saved it. I know she's going to be full of top tips. She absolutely is. Right then, all things ink, Jan.
Right, all things ink. So I'm going to start with our Spectrum Noir inks, and then we'll talk about. I'm having to control the excitement because I'm very giddy about the fact that we've got the Tim Holtz Distress inks back in. So yeah, we'll look about our Spectrum Noir range first, and then I will talk to you about the difference between these and how these actually work. We're going to do a demo with them. So in our own range, I'm going to split them into sort of 3 which are colouring mediums, for want of a better way of putting it, and 3 which are stamping mediums. Now that doesn't mean that you can't stamp with the colours, all right, but these are actually intended for stamping things like sentiments and outline, what I call the line art for your stamps. So I'm going to take away the translucent one for now and just first of all look at the 2 finesse ink pads. Now we've done these separately to sort of make a point of these are technically used for stamping out line art and sentiments, as opposed to the Harmony range, which bring in all that multitude of colours, and we'll talk about those in a second. So there are 4 colours in each of these ranges. We have an alcohol proof one, and we've got a waterproof one. Now if you weren't with us on Sunday when we did the craft vault with the Spectrum Noir, it's worth having a little look back towards the end of that show. I deliberately stamped these out out wrong and use the colouring mediums with them to prove why we need the same, you know, the right ink for purpose. Leanne, when she produced all these, has tried to make it as foolproof as possible, but I used to get asked all the time when I was working in the store and when we were doing the teaching, which ink do I need for which purpose? So what we've done with the Finesse range is literally called it an alcohol proof dye ink with a picture of an alcohol marker on, and a waterproof dye ink with a picture of a paintbrush on. So if you're going to use alcohol markers to colour with, you need this one, the alcohol proof. And if you're going to use any kind of watercolour media, whether it be with a brush or from a pen or sparkle inks or anything like that, you need the waterproof dye. And just to sort of give you the basics behind it, I always go along opposites attract. So it's worth thinking, first of all, are you actually going to be colouring? If you're not colouring, it doesn't really matter what you stamp with. You could use one of these, you could use a quick dry for your sentiments, perfect. Once you bring a colouring medium in, it's really imperative that you get the right one of these to stamp with. So if you're going to use an alcohol marker for colouring, you must use the alcohol proof dye for your line art. So for example, if I was going to stamp out my little, I don't know what I've just moved everything to one side. Where's my little sassy and classy lady gone? She's around somewhere. I don't know what I've done with her. She's got, oh, she's escaped. We'll find her in a second. Oh, she's here, look. She's here, yeah. If I was going to stamp this out to colour in, which I am going to do later, we'll talk about it again later, and I'm going to use my alcohol tri-blend pens to colour with, I definitely need to make sure that I stamp with the alcohol-proof ink. Otherwise, when I come to colour, if I've got a stamping ink that's an alcohol base, when the two meet, they're going to start and bleed. And I often get asked, and I still see people post on social media now and say that I've stamped out, I've coloured my image in, but the line art's actually bleeding out, and it's more often than not because we've got the wrong ink pad. So alcohol colouring, alcohol proof, and then if I was going to stamp this out but colour it with my watercolour marker, so you saw us doing some watercolour with that lovely watercolour Christmas collection yesterday when I was on, and I had the paintbrush and the pot of water out, I would definitely need a waterproof dye so that this particular ink didn't start smudging when I added the water to it. So that's the best way that I can explain them. And as I say, on Craft Vault we actually stamped with an alcohol proof dye and used a watercolour marker over it, and you could literally see the image bleed. And then I did this one and stamped it and used an alcohol marker with it, and it did the same. So just to prove that it's imperative that we get those two right. So that's the stamping inks. And the other one that I like to use for stamping if I'm just doing a sentiment is the quick dry black ones. Are brilliant. Again, you can use colours to stamp with, obviously, yeah, but if you're wanting a nice solid black, the quick dry, either the noir black or the jet black, there's two different blacks, which sounds silly. Black is black, but there are different tones of it. So again, for a sentiment on its own, absolutely perfect. If you're wanting to colour, I would stick with the Finesse range. And then the third one in the stamping family is our watercolour, our watermark one, sorry. And this is actually a clear. Mine's a little bit dirty because it's been loved and it's been used. It comes nice and clear to you, but it's just a clear, sticky ink. There's no pigment in it whatsoever. It's just sticky ink. And this one's perfect for using with embossing powder. Because it's sticky, the embossing powder will stick to it, and we'll do a little bit of that later on with the heat tool. So that's perfect for that one. You can also get some really great techniques with it. If you just stamp, for example, onto a piece of coloured card and leave it to dry, the reason we call it a watermark is because you will get a faint outline of what you've stamped dry onto the card where the ink dries, and it does give you like a watermark, so you'll get self-colour on colour. So for example, if you stamped on a piece of blue card, you'd get a sort of slightly darker blue impression of your stamp on top of that blue card. So it does work for both. And then I'm going to come to the Harmony ones, which are our sort of colours. Now, if you haven't come across these before, these were designed in a manner where we've got 3 shades of one colour. So there are 36 different colour families altogether. Sorry, there are 36 different colours altogether. And each one's got a dark, a medium and a light shade of it. For example, the greens, we've got that lovely meadow green at the beginning. I've not got all mine with me today, but we've got meadow green, and then we've got grasshopper is the middle one. and then pine green. And the idea behind those is that you've got that means of doing that ombre effect if you're wanting to use them as a colouring medium. So I've actually pulled mine out. We've got the opaque pigment, we've got a water reactive, and we've got a quick dry. So I'm going to start at the bottom because the quick dry literally does what it says on the tin. You've just seen me use it. It's perfect
or
for
the
those...
drip dry, as we were calling them.
The drip dries.
That's what me and Michelle have renamed them, drip dry inks.
But yeah, literally dry within seconds, and I'll show you what I mean. If you've not seen them before, we'll just do a little test with it just to show you. So let me just find something suitable. We'll go with that wording stamp there, and I'll pop it onto one of the other mediums so that you can see these being used. And again, we'll go with that nice bright, will we be able to see the yellow? Let me choose a colour that you'll be able to see a bit better. Quick dry, that one will show up nice and easy for you. So again, you've just seen me use them with the rotating stamps, and these are perfect for layering stamps as well. If you've got any of our layering stamps, whether they just be the flowers or the background stamps and things like that, they're absolutely perfect. So I'm just going to grab my stamping, what did you call it? Cushion, Joe?
Your stamping cushion.
My stamping cushion, okay. And then literally with the rocker block, if you haven't seen these before, I tend to start from the front, bring my fingers into the centre so that you've got the pressure in the centre, and rock backwards and straight off your page, okay? I know when I see Sarah do it, she starts from the back and she rocks towards herself. Again, horses for courses, no right or wrong, but what I wanted to prove is this dries instantly. So for layering stamps and things like that, I have just over inked slightly there, but for layering stamps, perfect, because you can go straight on with the next layer and not have to worry. So they aren't any good if you're wanting to blend. You would really struggle, because these dry so quickly, you would really struggle to blend with something like this. So this is where the other two come in. So the original ones were our water reactive inks, and these were made specifically for blending and doing your water techniques with. So for example, just to pick that Bordeaux one, again with the sponge applicators, which we've also got on the show for you. And again, people ask me all the time, should I use a round one or should I use a rectangular one? I don't think I've got a rectangular one with me, but again, there's not really a correct answer for that. It's try them and see what works with you. As a general rule of thumb, I tend to use the rounder ones for a smaller area and the rectangular ones to cover a larger area, but it's a very broad sort of rule. A lot of the time it's whatever I've got the right colour in, and I do tend to keep sponges for each colour family. But with a water reactive, just take off any excess here. I'm going to come back to that bit, and I start from the edge of the card, and you can either do your edging techniques. So I'm actually pulling the ink now from the mat and taking it round the edge of my card here, or if you actually want to bring in more colour, you can literally actually spread this out. So we've got that blending facility here. I know Leanne spent an inordinate amount of time getting these inks right, and I'm always talking about the right product for the purpose. So if you're actually wanting to do blending, this one is probably one of the better ones. Okay, and also with this one, because they're water reactive, you've got that facility to do your water techniques with. So I'm just going to grab a smaller paintbrush there and some water, cover the ink pad up, but you've seen, as I say, I just do this plenty of times where we just tap the water on, or if you want to use your clear overlay sparkle pen, you can actually get a sort of a sparkly sort of speckle on here as well as the water, but literally as much or as little as you want. Okay, the longer you leave this, the better the effect, because what it's doing, it starts pushing the ink around and it moves it sort of out of the way. You can just see here, if we get our Adam to come and zoom in again for me, just pop that down. And just he's coming to, you can see there, look perfect, thanks Adam. You can see how it's starting to push those little bits of ink out of the way, and as I say, the longer you leave it, the better effect you'll get. But just then, when you're ready, give it a blot with a little bit of kitchen paper and it will lift that ink out, so you can get some brilliant techniques. And I know I was watching our Michelle the other night, and I know you did it with a stamp, Michelle, which looked great, didn't it? Where you actually stamped into it with water. So we did that spritz and waft again that we were doing the other night.
Is that something they do on Strictly, like a Fandango? The
spritz and waft.
The spritz
yes.
and waft.
You didn't see that one, Joe, did you? No, we had them on a stamp on here. And it was a quick spritz and a waft.
Yes. Spritz and waft and put the stamp in back.
I might do it again,
the
Liz.
spritz and waft and put the stamp in back.
I've missed you.
Sorry, Jan. Sorry.
I've
had a lot of pent up, creative energy having 6 days off. Now it's all coming out.
All coming
You're
out
getting the full force of it. I am sorry.
Shouldn't I? I should have known. But yeah, blending, absolutely perfect for them. Okay, so edging, blending, things like that. The water reactive ones are perfect. Now, having said that, I'm going to come back to the opaque pigments. Now, you'll have often seen me on shows say that these are my favourite ones, and the reason I like these is because you can do this technique with them. So you can still do your blending with the pigments, but they're a slightly different finish. They're not quite, they're a little bit more pastel, I find, than the water reactive colours. And I haven't got the Bordeaux in the one to compare for you. I was just going to use that one, the green one. Again, you've got that sponge top on this one rather than the hard. Show you the difference, what I was talking about. This one is on a felt pad, and it is, use my, the surface of it is solid.
Okay.
Yeah, so the water reactive ones literally are solid. And again, I'm only skimming the surface because, you know, there's direct to paper techniques where you can put your ink pad straight onto the cardstock, but obviously we want to fit as much as we can in, and I'm just looking at the clock, we're nearly through the first hour already. But again, with the opaques, you can actually do the blending the same. So you can do this as well, and they will work with the water, so you will be able to get that splatter technique if that's what you're wanting to achieve on a background. So if you want to use these, you can. You get a slightly softer sort of finish to the colour, I think, with the opaque ones. There's a clue there in the title.
Definitely chalky, aren't
yes,
they? Like you
they
said,
are.
They're a bit like a chalk. They remind me a lot of like, you know, you buy chalk paints for things
yes.
like wooden furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
They have that finish to them. I do love them though. I think they're my favourites out of all of them, you know.
I've got these on the front of my desk, and I must admit they are my sort of go-to ones unless I'm wanting to do a specific technique. They will work with your water as well, but you don't get quite as vivid as a result as you do with the water reactives. So again, just to clear up the excess there with a bit of water, and as I say, the longer you leave it again, the better result you'll get. So we'll just get a clean piece to just dab that off. But the actual the purpose that the opaques were developed for were for heat embossing, and they're a sticky ink that stays wet longer. You can just see there's a little tiny bit of blotchiness.
Very different, isn't it?
You're not getting that lift like you do with the water reactive ones. As I say, there's clues in the titles with them. Water reactive is going to react literally with that water, whereas this one, I've got that sort of blotchiness going on in there, but it's not as definite. So again, it's all about what you're wanting to you sort of get as an end result. We've got a flag going on there now, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah.
It looks, I wonder where it could be from.
Ooh. But yeah, the opaque ones, because they stay wetter, these are great for catching the embossing powders, which we'll do a little bit later in the show. I'll come back to these, and we'll do some heat embossing over the top of them. You would even I would struggle to get embossing powder over a quick dry, because the minute it hits that porous surface, it's dry. You can emboss your water reactive if you're quick enough, but what I tend to find with these, even as much as I've done stamping, you'll get maybe stamp something out and your embossing powder will stick to part of it, but the rest of it's dried before you've got there, and it does make it difficult. So again, choose the right one for purpose. And then I'm going to come on to the difference now, Joe. You asked me what the difference was with these, and I was so excited when I saw these back. I've got a whole range of these at home, but I don't use them very often because obviously we've got our own Spectrum Noir range.
Absolutely.
But now we've got these back in stock, I can talk to you about them, and these are unique, to be honest. I haven't come across another brand that does this kind of, it's a hybrid ink pad.
Right.
So most of the ink pads are either a dye or a pigment.
Okay.
So a dye is something that is man-made, and a pigment is a natural substance.
Okay.
So as far as colour content's concerned, if you're using a dye ink, it's come from something that's been man-made. Whereas a pigment comes from a natural substance. So for example, in the olden days, they used to use berries to colour things with. So you're looking at that sort of going back and using those natural pigments. This is a combination of both. It's what they call a hybrid ink, and it's got both dye and pigment, which you would think wouldn't go together.
Right.
But the man himself, Tim Holtz, has done so much work with these that he's got them to a point where it does work. And the oxide bit is because the minute you add water to them, you get an oxidization process, which is where you get that chalky finish from. And it feels different. If I look at these now, I can still feel on my Harmony ones a nice smooth cardstock finish. Same as on the pigment inks, I've got that smooth cardstock. But when you've used these, you get, I can't describe it, you get that sort of chalky element to them, and I'm going to show you what I mean. I'm going to demo these in a second.
Do you, I mean, I don't know why, I always think about mixed media projects when I think about these ink pads.
Yes, you could do. They're great for embossing as well, just like our pigment inks are. They're great for embossing because they stay wet for quite a long time.
So definitely sit alongside our ranges then. It's not a case of have the distress oxide instead of X, Y or Z.
I would look at it as an extension. If you like your inks and you're a collector of inks like I am, they are an extension of your range, because these do something that our range doesn't. So it's not as if we're looking at something that's going to replace your Harmony ink pads or your Finesse. It's something that will enhance them and take it to that next level. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to take some cardstock here, and I've got a piece of stamping card, and I'm going to show you a little bit about how these work. We've got the heat tool at the ready. I've had to have our John give it a bit of TLC this morning because it wasn't feeling very well, but we're all good. We're all good.
What was wrong with it?
The wires weren't happy. Yesterday when I tried it, there was a couple of times it sort of faltered, and I thought, it can't go. My beloved little heat tool. But yes, it's fixed it. We're all good. I didn't want to blow the studio up this morning. So I've taken a piece of stamping card, and we're literally going to apply some colour. Now again, another thing that's different about these is that they will layer on top of each other. So if I did this with our water reactive inks, or even with our opaque pigment inks, there is a danger of getting sort of sludge if you mix the right colours together. Whereas with the oxides, as long as you dry between each layer, I can get the pink to layer over the turquoisey colours. Okay. I'll show you what I mean. We'll start off with and what I've done today is I've actually brought you some of the newer colours. These have been out quite a long time because I bought my original ones when I was working in the store, which were looking 4 or 5 years ago now. So the main range has been out a while, but then this year he started introducing once a month a new colour. Okay. And I've brought some of the new ones with me today. Absolutely gorgeous. So we've got Kitsch Flamingo is the pink one. I've got Speckled Egg, which is a gorgeous, like a really shabby chic looking shade of grey blue. And then we've got Salvage Patina, which is the most gorgeous sort of tealy turquoise shade. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the Speckled Egg, and I'm going to go direct to my mat, and you'll see the minute I put these on the mat, the consistency totally different. Just look how much colour you've got in those, and that's the mixture of the dye and the pigment in there. And then what I'm going to do, I've just got ordinary water in my spritzer. I'm just going to sort of activate it with a bit of water, and then I like to sort of get those solid edges out of the way. You know I'm a mucky pup. And then I'm literally going to go in with my cardstock and just pick up areas of the ink to get that background going. Okay, so this is sort of a proper grey blue shade. And then once I'm happy with it, I'm going to dry this layer. If I carried on while it was wet, you're going to get those colours mixing, all right? But I've got enough on that particular one now. Now, I would keep going at home. I would get another piece of card and actually start mopping up the rest of the ink. But just for speed, We'll get that clean, and the key here is to now start and dry this. So yeah, I know you mentioned mixed media, Joe, and there is sort of a little element of going into mixed media with these. Get some great ideas with backgrounds on them. You can actually paint with them as well, so you saw me spread it out onto the mat. You can pick it up with a paintbrush and paint with them.
Is it then being able to layer any colour over the top of each other what really sets these apart, Jan?
I think so, yeah. I haven't got another ink pad in my kit at home that will do this. Okay. We're actually going to work with these. I'm going to leave the pink while last, because normally I would say to you start with the lightest colour, which in my opinion the pink shade is lighter than the blue shades. But in this instance I've left the pink while last because I want to show you what I mean. So make sure it's dry, okay, and then we're going to go in with a second colour. So again, just shape that cardstock back into place. I'm going to bring the salvage patina, which again, just look, I can't explain how gorgeous they are, these to play with. And again, spritz it just to wake it up. And I do, as I say, I like to get rid of those harsh edges, otherwise you'll get the outline of the square onto your work. So just doing it this way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm sort of roughly going for where the gaps are. So I've got a nice big gap in the middle. So I'm going to sort of try and fill the gap there. And again, wherever I've got little gaps in the original colour, we're going to go in here. And just carry on building and get that background to where I want it to be. If it's not wet enough, I can see that that's a little bit dry in places. I'm going to add a bit more spritz, okay, and then leave that one as it is. But it'll show up even more when we do the pink on here now, that pink will sit on top of those colours.
Almost behaves a bit like a paste, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got like substance to it. It really has. As I say, that opaque nature of it, there is some sort of substance to the ink. As I say, completely different to our range, and that's what I like about the fact that they fit and they work together. You know, it may be that you want to take one of your water reactive inks then and do your inking around the edge of it just to finish it off, although you can still do that with the oxide inks. You can still do the blending and the ink techniques with them. So again, I'm just going to make sure that's dry, because if it's not, we're going to get obviously pinks and blues together. We're going to end up with sort of purpley colours. I don't want that. I want the pink now to sit on top of this. But I can still see here where the first one's underneath here, and this is laid over the top. The two haven't joined together. I can still see clearly where that speckled egg's underneath, and then we've got the salvage patina over the top. So we're going to do the same again now, and this one's just to die for. You know me and my pink. Just look at that. You know, the names of these as well are perfect. If that's not a flamingo colour, then
it really is,
I'll eat my heart. Yeah,
that makes my heart happy, that colour.
Absolutely. Again, just give it a spritz, and you can see when you spritz it almost changes from that sort of, the substance of it changes, and you can see that oxidization starting. If you just leave this for a second on here, you can just see that oxidization process starting to work its way, and there are elements of it now that are trying to separate and do its thing. So again, on top of here, I'm just going to go, that bit's still a bit wet there, just go aim for some of the areas that haven't got as much colour in them. But look how that's sitting straight over the top of the blue now. And as I say, I haven't seen another product, and I've tried loads that does this. There's been a lot of work go into the original sort of makeup of these inks. And again, just make sure that you've got the right consistency for it.
A lot of people saying they've bought these from us in the past, Jan, but never really mastered how exactly they fit in with the rest of our ink pads. So a lot of people saying they really needed this. Aisha being one of them. Violet says as well, never used these ink pads. Often wondered what's special about them. So thanks, Jan. This has been really insightful.
They are. They're really, as I say, I like the fact that they are an extension of what we've already got. There's no point in us selling you a whole range of Spectrum Noir products and then saying, right, you need a whole range of you know, Tim Holtz oxides. It doesn't work like that. If they're going to do the same job, then you choose. You know, you've got a choice to make as to which one you want in your stash, unless you're like me and have to have both. I know some of you out there are the same.
All of them, no doubt, Jan, as well.
All of them. I bought the whole lot in the first batch when they first came out, because they started out with distress inks, which are transparent water-based inks. So the distress ink, it looks the same, they're in a black case, and they're the same colour families, the same ranges, and it just says distress ink, and they're a transparent dye ink that again you can do, works very similar to our water reactive inks. That's where the correlation is. But then after that he brought out the distress oxides, and it was like, oh, same ink pads, same colours, but they're in a grey case so that you can tell the difference. And as I say, they've got that facility to work with that oxidisation. But just to give this a blast now with the heat tool, I want you to look at how that pink sat. It's not blurred with any of the turquoise.
Yeah, it's not muddied, is it?
Not muddied at all. It's sat over the top. You can still see elements of the turquoise underneath it. And that's one of the biggest things for this, as far as making backgrounds and things. I know sometimes when I've had a play with inks, and I've thought, if you use the distress ink version of this, it would literally just all mesh together, and you'd end up with a sludgy colour.
Are they translucent, or are they opaque, or are they a
These
mix
are
of
opaque.
both? They're opaque.
These are opaque when they're finished, yeah. You get
But it's
that.
funny how they're opaque, yet you still see the colour underneath.
Absolutely.
Very strange, isn't it?
Yeah. But when you actually come and, I don't know, you might want to come and have a look at them, Joe. I know you're a long way over there.
I'm coming over.
Come and have a feel at them. I don't invite people very often to come and have a feel, but
Jan,
if I'm going to do it,
Jan, I am honoured. I really am.
Put your hand in so I can see you having a feel. Look, can you feel the texture of it?
Oh yeah.
It's proper, like you can hear that oxidisation process.
It feels like something. I can't think what it is.
It's almost like a suede type effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
Yeah, different, isn't it? Yeah.
It does have a real. Do you know what it does? Feel like chalk. That's exactly what it feels like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing, Jan. Really, really incredible.
Literally, you know, you've got that sort of facility there to have a play, and then what I'm going to do is just bring in. I'll just change my sponge on here, because all your applicators will work with these just the same. And again, I tend to sort of keep ones for different colour families. But what I'm going to do is go back to that lighter one, that speckled egg now. Again, just like you would do, you've seen us do with our own ink pads there. Load up that applicator and then literally just bring the edge in here, and it takes away that harsh white edge off your work then. And if you didn't particularly want, I quite like the little areas of white in there, but if you didn't want any white to show, you can go in with your applicator then and literally just over the top, look, you can get that ink direct onto the paper. So if you wanted this to fade back into the colour, you can just take the whiteness off of it with the actual ink itself.
Amazing.
And this is what I love doing. You know me, I've talked about it before. I'll sometimes sit and just have an afternoon where I make these backgrounds, and then I've got them in a box ready for when I actually want to use them. And then you're going to say to me, right, well, what are you going to use them on, Jan? So again, this is where your stamping comes in. You can stamp straight over the top of this. As long as it's perfectly dry, you can actually stamp and emboss over the top of it. You can use it in conjunction with our ink. So for example, what did I do with my black one? My black one's disappeared. Where's it gone? There it is. I could come back in with the quick dry now on the black and stamp over the top of this and get a really nice sort of, for example, those lovely cheeky sort of little Prosecco and gin stamps would look great. And we're going to do it again. I'll do this later on a different piece. I've got a plan for this one. So I'm going to combine this, and I know did it again, Michelle. I saw your show this morning and you were doing this, and I think we've picked the same stamp again, haven't we? We've not even discussed it. I was watching you demo, but I think you did it with our quick dry inks, didn't you? Yep, so I'm actually going to stamp with the oxide inks now to show you
Jan
the
isn't
difference.
talking to herself, by the way. Michelle is in the
Michelle's
studio.
Sat just across from me, yeah.
She's just
she
over there.
is, yeah. So, yeah, we like to stay and support each other. I sometimes do it with her. She's doing it with me. We're all part of the same team, aren't we? So I've actually got a piece of Nina cardstock now. And again, with this one, the stamping platform is a godsend. And these are the layering stamps. So we said with our own range, the quick dry inks are perfect for these. And I think that's what Michelle used this morning with them. I'm going to show you the difference. You can stamp with the oxides, and I'm going to use the same colour family that we've used on the background so that we can actually use this behind and then have our image on the front of it. So again, these are all numbered up for you. So we're going to start with number 1, pop that on my stamping platform, and again, just use the little, you'll find, if I pop it on there for you, you'll see when you look all the way around the edge of it, you've got one little right angle left.
Ah, perfect.
So that's the bit that you're actually going to work with. Now I tend to start off like this and then just end up freestyling it when I finish. So they are there if you want to line everything up. And once we've got that in position, I can put my cardstock on the base there, and I've just gone to a piece of Nina. It will still work on the stamping card if that's what you want to use. I tend to use the Nina for the toppers just to help with the weight so that everything's not getting too much. So I'm going to go with the speckled egg for the background, and again you'll see the coverage on the stamps, and these we're back to that hard felt pad on here. So again, just to cover it up, but you get a different look. The only way I can describe it is it's not such a crisp image. So again, now then I want it that way. No, I'll do it that way because there we go. So we've got some at the top, some at the bottom. But you get sort of like, I can't describe the look of it. I'll show you in a second when we've stamped it.
Peg's got a question, and I know I can answer this question, Jan. I feel like this is my moment. This is my time after a year and a half of being here. I've got the answer to a question. Peg says, I know.
Go on then.
I feel like I needed a musical fanfare, but we won't get one because we don't have the budget. No, Peg says, how can we store the oxides? What sort of bags or trays can we use? Now, our trays have got the little lips on them, haven't they, Jan? So you can store these ones as well as the other ones.
Absolutely, and Leanne was on that when she designed the trays. In the hours go all the way back to the edge, but if you look inside your storage trays, there's a little tiny lip, which you're right, Joe, it just allows these to fit inside of them, and the lip stops them going all the way to the back of the tray.
Thank you.
Absolutely,
I'm here a weekend.
Well done. Well done.
Do I get a repeater badge for that?
Wow, I think we need another star on here for you. Right, so that's layer one, but you can see, as I say, it's difficult to describe without actually coming and looking at it on air, but you've got that sort of opacity to the ink on it. It does give you a different look. And then we're going to layer up the different pieces, and again, I tend to just use my cloth. Going back to cleaning stamps, you know, again, it depends what you've had on them to start with. If it's a water-based ink, a spritz with water and a cloth, or some kitchen towel, or, as I say, a wet wipe, quite often you'll see us use the wet wipes to clean them. I tend to just give them a scrub over with my... Sorry, I was just thinking what I was doing then. Scrub over with my cloth and then they go back in the packet ready for the next time.
Fab.
I am not the best at cleaning. If you've used a permanent ink, so like the stamping inks, then you would need a proper cleaner to actually clean them off. They will actually stain the stamps and you would need a proper cleaner to get those off. Now, we don't actually make one of those. The one that I use at home is made by StazOn, which is one of the permanent ink brands, and you can buy a little bottle and you just literally wipe it over the top and leave it a couple of seconds and wipe it off, and it does give you a bit more detail. So what I like to do with these, you can line them up on your platform just like we did before, but I just sort of look at them through the stamp and think, right, that looks about the right place, and tend to go for it that way. So I know that this little bit at the top here is going to be the top of the flower. Okay, and then because we've got the platform, I can pick it up again with here, and we're going to add this one in the pink. Oops. And then I will pop this together as a project for you, just to finish it off.
Jan, we need to put out a missing persons ad for the first 72 minutes of this show. Where on earth has it gone?
Gosh, it does.
It flies by, doesn't it, when we do these master classes? Absolutely flies by. So many beautiful questions coming in. I will be putting them all to Jan very, very shortly, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, no worries. We'll have a look at some questions, Joe. So again, I'm just going to give that a rub over and then pop it back, and then we've got that third layer, and then I'm going to jump to the one that I've actually done for you so that we can save a bit of time. But I just wanted to show you, that's the last one. Okay, and again, you know, you can line it up if you've marked where it goes. They've all got that little rectangular piece on the corner there, but I tend to just look through my stamp and decide where it's going to go, and you can see through it because of the clearness of the stamps as to where you want it to sit, and get it as close as I can, and then literally pick it up with that one, and we're going to go for that salvage patina to finish off. But it does give you a different, as I say, sort of look. It's one of those that you'd have to try and see, because I'm not sure how well it will come across on the screen. But you get that proper sort of opaque. I think I've not quite got lined up properly there, but you'll get the idea. And you can see that I've just missed slightly on the top bit there, but you get the idea with it. And if I bring the one in that I've done at home, I'm going to come really close up there for you. As I say, it's difficult to describe when you're looking at it on screen, but it's a different finish to what you get with your ink pads. And again, you can feel that sort of texture to it. And then I've just used the stencil and stamped in there, that's sending hugs and happy thoughts for you. So we'll just quickly pop this together, because I'm not too worried about all those finished projects today, but I'm just going to pop it and make a little card base for it. So I did exactly the same at home as what I'd done here. This one has got a little bit more colour on to show you the actual process. This one's a little bit lighter, and I've backed it on black card. And again, we'll go with that solvent ink there in the all-purpose. I'm covered in ink already. It was inevitable really in this show, wasn't it? That was going to get covered in ink. So again,
I mean, I've been waiting for it. We actually had a Jan timer going. We all took spread bets before the hour to see how long it was going to be before Jan got mucky. Who's the winner? 4:14. Oh, I won with 8 seconds to go. No, joking. We didn't really. We're not mean like that.
Do you know, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Now, I've done it again. Because I've used my Kalal, I can just pop that off quickly, because I've got giddy and I didn't put my piece of ribbon on. So let me just grab that one. And I want to pop a piece of ribbon through the centre first. And that's the beauty of using the Kalal. As long as it's not had that final stick, you can actually take it back off and we can just reapply it and go again. So yeah, I'm getting low. I was just saying yesterday, I think I need to put an order in for all my consumables, Joe. I had the tape pen ran out on me yesterday. My red line tape ran out on me, and now this is getting down to the bottom as well. So I really need to think about stocking up on some of those. I'm usually busy ordering the products, but we actually need some glues and things, I think, to top up. So yeah, I've just kept it nice and simple with the background, and then I've used one of our nesting dies. I've used that stitched yeah, I can never remember the name of them. Fancy
Inverted,
Stitch Square.
is it?
Fancy Stitch, that's the one, yeah.
Is it the inverted square?
No, I think it's just a Fancy Stitch Square, if I remember rightly. I may be wrong. I don't think I've written that one on the back. I usually write them down if I'm not sure. And again, you know, you can lift this. It probably would be nice to put up on foam pads, but again, they're running out on me, so I'm just going to go with the glue, if we've got enough left in there. And then, as I say, I think when I get home tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to have to pop in another order, I think, for the rest of them. But I just wanted the foreground to match the background. Now, I could have done this with our water reactive inks. So we could have gone with the Harmony range there, but we wouldn't have got that build-up in the background where those colours overlay over the top of each other. And that was the main difference between the two. So you can just see there, I've just popped it into a little project for you, just to show you those backgrounds working in conjunction with the stamps there.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, Jan, as we knew it would be. And I really love that this is something different that sits alongside them. I'm just going to recap the stamps, then I'm going to go through the colours that we have available of those Tim Holtz inks for you. So remember what you're getting in here. Love the fact that it's a mix and match between festive and also everyday. Lovely to have those. I think you could make all of them everyday or festive though, depending on the colours that you use. So in here you're going to get holly and poinsettia, Yuletide foliage. You've also got classy florals in there, violet roses, and the wild meadow. Now, loads of you, so many comments coming in about the Tim Holtz inks. I'm going to go through the colours that we have. There are 29 in the studio. There are even more of them over on the website, so make sure you check them all out there. The pricing is the same for all of them, $4.99 or $5.99. Of course, use your Club Inspired discount. Platinum members get them under £4 or $480, which is excellent. So, first up, Forest Moss. I've got braces in today, Jan, and some of these colours are a little bit challenging, I won't lie. So if we do
What you make of some of them?
Peacock feathers, if we do a whoopsie, it's not my fault, right? Pumice Stone is this one here.
Yep.
Rusty Hinge is this one here. I wish you could hear Georgina in my ear. Scattered Straw. tumbled glass, crackling campfire, you've got milled lavender, festive berries, salty ocean, picked raspberry, pine needles, abandoned coral, wowzers trousers,
Great names.
brushed corduroy, love it.
The names match them perfectly.
They do, really, really do.
Yep.
I'm going to move on to the others. So we've also got Lucky Clover,
Yep.
which is this one just here, Kitsch Flamingo, Rustic Wilderness. Love that one. Victorian Velvet,
That's
wowzers
one of
trousers.
my favourites. That is beautiful.
Salvaged Patina,
Yep, that's the one we've just used.
Prize Ribbon. This is the latest colour apparently.
Yep,
Ground
we use that later.
Espresso. I love how evocative all these
really
names
dark
are.
brown, that one, yeah.
Twisted Citron.
Oh, that's one of my favourites as
If
well.
I was going to be an ink pad, I'd be that one. Twisted Citron. Bitter and definitely twisted. This one here is candied apple. We've also got the dried marigold, the speckled egg, the chipped sapphire, and the weathered wood, which is that one there. $4.99 or $5.99. So there are some extras over on the website as well. Right, a lot of you got these and many, many other things in your basket. So what I'm going to do is give you an opportunity to get yourself checked out, and then we'll go back to Jan, and I'm going to do those questions and answers on the other side of this.
Welcome to Crafters TV. With more than 35 hours of live shows each week, it's your home for all things craft. We shine the spotlight on new and innovative crafting products with live tutorials and demonstrations. Join our family of craft experts where fun happens every day.
Quiet. The neighbours.
I'm all out of Zoom. I'm so lost without you. I'm not singing.
Lisa, if you email in, don't send a picture of your air fryer. Make sure it's something creative.
Get creative and craft along. With our amazing deals, your next craft project is just a click away. Tune in live 7 days a week, or you can watch us on Catch Up at crafterscompanion.com, Facebook, or our YouTube channels. You can chat to us, craft along, and meet new friends by joining our online crafting community.
You entertain us, you give us a community to talk, in the chat. That wouldn't happen without you guys. It's like Crafters Companion is magical. There's magic here.
Joy, there's not a dry eye in the studio here. Debbie's welling up, I'm welling up.
There's a show for every type of crafter, from first-time dabblers to full-time makers. Crafters TV. Create every day.
Welcome to Club Inspire, the Crafters Companion community where you can feed your crafty obsession. Join our fantastic loyalty club today and receive 20% off your first order. We'll also give you 250 points to help get you started. Other benefits of joining Club Inspire include exclusive special offers and discounts for Club Inspire members only, exclusive sneak peek previews of brand new product launches, and of course the Club Inspire community group on Facebook, where you can access exclusive content such as downloads, offers and inspiration, and of course you can chat and share your makes with other members. You'll receive 1 point for every £, dollar or euro you spend, and the more points you receive, the more benefits you'll unlock. So what are you waiting for? Sign up, join the club and start rewarding yourself today.
Right, it's Q&A time. Loads of really great questions coming in. I mean, there's so many. I'll try and get to as many as I can, but we'll see how we go. Lily Rugg asked, Jan, if we still have wooden block stamps but have not attached the stamps to the blocks, could we use a stick and spray on those like you did in your demo with the rubber one onto the acrylic block? Do you want that again?
Say that again, yeah.
Fine. Jan, if we still have wooden block stamps,
yes,
but have not attached the stamps to the wooden blocks, could we use the stick and spray like you did in your demo when you used the stick and spray to attach it to the acrylic block?
So the stamp that's come from the wooden block to actually stick it, I don't see why not.
Okay.
It depends whether it's got the cushioning on the back or not. Because with a wooden block, you remember we talked about that cushioning being between the stamp and the wooden block. So if the cushioning's still on it, I don't know how well the stick and spray would work. The stick and spray works great on the back of the actual rubber.
Right.
So it depends where you've got. Now I know they went through a phase years ago where people were heating the stamps to get them off the wooden blocks and take the sponge layer away, the cushion layer away. So it depends where you're at with them, but the spray itself works better straight onto the rubber.
Okay, excellent. I hope that helps. May's Cocoa Patch says I'm guessing this will be the same for, she talks about the Wreath specifically, but she said when using like a layering stamp or a rotating stamp, and you were heat embossing, would you stamp a layer, heat emboss, rotate, next layer, heat emboss, or would you do all the stamping and then all the heat embossing?
A lot of that depends how quick you are. So the quicker you are, the more you can do before you heat emboss. Personally, if I'm doing that, I tend to do a section of it and then heat emboss it. It's not that I don't trust the inks, I don't trust myself, because if for any reason you sort of get part the way around and get disturbed for whatever reason, the phone rings or the door goes or whatever, by the time you've got to the end, if the ink started drying at the beginning, you're going to get that situation where the embossing powder will only stick to parts of your stamp. So I personally prefer to do the actual inking and then heat emboss that section and then go on to the next one, because you can over emboss. So if you get an area of your stamp that overlaps, it will still stamp on top of the embossing powder and you can re-emboss over the top of previous embossing. So again, a lot of it depends on speed with something like that.
Awesome. Diane wants to know what ink pad she would use to stamp out an outline image to colour with coloured pencils.
It doesn't really matter with the coloured pencils, because obviously it's not a wet medium. So because we talk about alcohol markers and watercolour markers, you've got a wet medium that you're working with. So alcohol, we talk about the alcohol evaporating. The water medium, obviously it's going in either with a paintbrush or a pen that's got a water carrier in it. So if it's a coloured pencil, you can get away with either of them. And I did test this out because I know we talk about when we use our colour blend pencils, again on the Spectrum Wash, I was using the blending solution, and I thought, now then, I'm not sure what the base of this is, and I tested both of our ink pads. I tested the waterproof one and the alcohol proof one with our colour blend pencils and then blended them, and neither of them ran. So this has obviously not got the same solvent in it that would react with either of the ink pads,
Whilst we're on that point then, Caroline French asks, is there an outline ink pad that is suitable for both water-based and alcohol-based colouring mediums? A hybrid, essentially.
There are some out there on the market. There's a couple of companies make them. We don't do a hybrid one in that fashion. The way I get round that is to stamp and emboss the line art. So stamp it out, put if you're stamping in a black ink, put the clear embossing powder over the top. That will seal it then, so that you can use either alcohol or watercolour regardless of what ink you've stamped with in the first place.
Excellent. Jan, do you ever use a gel plate? I can't say I know what a gel plate is. Jill asked me that.
I do. What is a gel plate? These are absolutely terrific for working with the gel plate, and it's again getting into mixed media, Joe. It's something that I could do with talking to Leanne about, actually, because we don't produce a gel plate, which is why I very rarely bring it on the shows, but it's like a wedge of rubbery gelatin stuff. It's pliable, but on the surface of it you can do loads and loads of techniques. So for example, just to quickly talk you through it, if I use one of my oxides and covered the gel plate with it and then popped a stencil over the top of it and then went in with a piece of copier paper and rubbed it over the top of the gel plate, it's like taking a print off it, and I would get the detail of the stencil with some of the ink as a print, and then I'd take the stencil away, and then you can go in with just another piece of paper and pull it off. You'd get like the opposite, so you'd get the reverse part of the stencil
like
with
crafty
the
Play-Doh.
It's a weird substance. When you feel it, it's a really weird substance. It's like a jelly, a really thick jelly.
Can you bring it in next time you come in?
Shall
I want to see it. Yes, please. Would you mind?
You get them in different sizes, and you can get little ones as well that you can work on sort of like, so if I've got a card this size, you can get sort of like round ones, square ones, heart-shaped ones that you can just work and make like a silhouette with. But yeah, it's sort of like getting into mixed media, but as I say, these work fantastically with it. So if you are a lover of the gel press, have a go with your oxides if you're buying into those today.
Excellent. Hope that helps for you. I'll do a couple more for now, Jen. We'll try and do a couple more before the end of the show. For blending tools, there are both foam and felt cushions. Does it matter which one you use? Asked Khaki Blue. I know we only do the foam ones, don't we?
For blending tools, there are foam and felt.
Yeah, so ours are foam, aren't they?
I thought they were all foam.
I haven't seen a felt one before, I must say. In all the years I've worked in craft, I haven't seen a felt one.
No, I thought they were all, even the other brands that you buy, I think are still foam. I'm not familiar with a felt one, but yes, they should do the same job, even if it is felt. It's just a carrier for that ink. So, felt's a smoothing of surface that you would still be able to do all your blending techniques with them. But all the ones that we sell are all foam-based, yeah.
There we are. Right, one more question quickly from, this one is from, it was Jill, says, what is the difference between using a water-reactive ink pad and a Spectrum Noir aqua pen? Do you know where I think this comes from? I think our Debbie Fisher often will add, not glucose, the other one. Glycerin to our aqua markers. I think that's where the question maybe is stemming from.
So basically, in our aqua markers, you have got an ink in there that is sort of similar to an ink pad. But obviously, with it being in a pen form, it behaves differently. So the reason that we add the glycerin to it allows you to then keep it what we call open, which keeps it wetter for longer. And you may have seen us doing, I did it on the Spectrum Noir show on Sunday. It allows you to actually blend with it. So the question, just read me the question, Joe. The difference between
water-reactive ink pads and our aqua markers.
Yeah, as I say, it's just the way that colour is brought to you. So in an ink pad, it's trapped within the either the felt or the sponge, which allows you to tap it out. In a pen, it's intended for colouring. So by sort of extending it, it's giving you more value for money with your pens. And you often see us colouring the pens onto the either the glass mat, or if you've got a craft mat, or you can actually do it onto your acrylic block, anything like that that's on a non-porous surface, and then pick it up with a paintbrush allows that product to go further. But just adding, I know I did it on the Spectrum Noir show, and I think a lot of the craft experts have done it, where we've added the glycerin, and all it does, it's about keeping something wet enough, long enough for it to then move over the surface of your paper.
Awesome.
Okay?
I hope that helped. Do get some in. If we get some time towards the end of the show, we'll do a few more as well at the end, if that's provoked any questions in you. Now, something that I don't associate with or think that is like me in any way is this stamp set, Sassy and Classy. Two things that I'm very rarely called classy, like very often called sassy. This is here. These are some of our most recent stamp range releases for you. You guys have absolutely loved these. What's so great about them is you've got that focal imagery, you've got embellishings, and then also sentiments within there as well. Do what makes you happy. True friends are never apart, maybe in distance, but never in heart. They are gorgeous. You've got True Friends, Hello Gorgeous. I just love that one. This one here is Dressed to Impress. And we've also got in there Partners in Crime as well. $29.97 or $38.85. We were able to repeat that launch offer for you, which is awesome. Under £24, just over $31 for Club Inspire Platinum members. But I believe we're going to have a look at this next, Jan. Is that right?
We are, yeah. I'm going to skip through this a little bit because I'm just conscious of time, and I've got a bit more that I want to include with the oxides as well for you, because you've seen this often. What I'm actually going to do for you is I'm going to do that trick where we use the wrong ink, just to show you what I mean by it. So I've literally taken one of my little stamps here. These are gorgeous. I've got Partners in Crime. I thought this described me and our Debbie Robinson perfectly. Partners in Crime, Joe. We have been for a while. So I've literally popped it onto the stamp platform, and I want to start colouring with one of my Tri-Blend, my alcohol markers. So I've said to you quite clearly that when we're using alcohol markers, we need to use an alcohol-proof dye ink, which has got the marker on it. Now, this is actually a water-based ink. Even though it's got alcohol-proof dye, non-smear with alcohol inks, that's what we want. But because this is alcohol solution with the pigment, pigment in. This is actually a water-based ink, so you'll get that sort of correlation where it doesn't smudge it. Now I'm actually deliberately going to do it with the wrong one to show you what I mean. So I'm now bringing in the waterproof dye, and if it's waterproof, just taking the technicalities of it, this means it's an alcohol-based ink, which is what makes it waterproof. So in other words, the opposite. So to use an alcohol ink to stamp the line art and then try and colour with the alcohol pen, that's what I actually want to show you today. So I'm not going to do a full demo with this. I had got it prepped to put a card together, which I can do if you want me to, but I just thought there are other bits and pieces that I wanted to show you as well. And I can't believe it's already gone 4:30.
25 to 5.
I
Where
know,
does it go,
it's
Jan?
just disappeared.
Where does it go?
So again, we'll stamp this out, and I'm just going to keep this in vision that I've used the waterproof dye. So this is intended if you're going to start using a water-based medium. So for example, our aqua markers, our aqua blend pencils, our sparkle pens, the aqua tints, anything like that that's got a water-based suspension to carry the colour in is what that's meant for here. But I'm actually going to take my tri-blend, and this is what a lot of people come to me and say, Jan, I don't understand what's happened. I've done my stamping, like you said, I've done my colouring, but it starts to bleed. So I'm just going to start and colour in part of her gown here with the, and again, we always talk about saturating the cardstock with the alcohol and getting it to basically, and I'm doing what I shouldn't be doing because I'm still on my stamp platform.
Naughty,
I know.
naughty
Do
Jan.
as I say, not as I do.
You wait till I tell Leanne, I'm going to text her right now.
Shocking, yeah. I'm going to put a piece underneath because technically it should go through. This is normal for alcohol ink colouring. It should go through. The reason we've popped that under is because if that ink hits here and it's wet, the only place for it to go is to come back up through the cardstock. So again, just to take this through and saturate that card. And I can see this happening now in front of me. I'm going to get our Adam to come in close in a second. He's coming. In he comes with the camera. I want you to get as close as you can for me, Adam. Because what it's doing, it's blurring. Here we go, look. Fantastic. It's starting to blur the line art. Can you see how it's going fuzzy?
And it's actually moving beyond the line as well, isn't it?
It's letting it seep out because there's no barrier there with the opposite ink. It's not that I've actually smudged out of the line. The alcohol's moving because it's got nothing to stop it, because this is not, and I can see here, it's starting to blur. That line now is nowhere near as focused as this one. And that's the reason why we need those opposite inks. So I'm going to leave that demo as it is there, thanks Adam, and not go too far with it. I had actually prepped it. I can stick it together really quickly.
Because we've got to do demo of the show soon, Jan.
Yeah, but this is what I ended up with when I did it with my alcohol markers. And I wish, even though they've got funny legs, I wish I looked like that.
I wish my legs were that slim.
But yeah, partners in crime as far as it goes, because I don't think I even look like that at 8-year-old, let alone anything else. But that's a whole other story. Right, so I think I've got some tape pen left. Have I got some tape pen left? We're getting to the bottom of everything. I definitely need to restock.
You need to get a restock in.
We do. And look, I've done it again. I'm more organised than I think. This was the Celebrations paper pad, one of the 8x8s.
Fantastic.
Which I think we've got some of those either on this show or on the later show. And back later on, we've got a fantastic cart load lined up for you later. Can't wait. It's got so many different products on there. So again, I'm just going to pop this on quickly, and I've just done a 5 3/4 square card, and then I've scored it in half and done that fold back on the front. And then what I wanted to do, nice and quick, I've stamped out, and these are from the stamp set. I've got just for you to go inside here. Okay, and then I wanted to pop this one on the front at an angle, so I only need some tape on that section there. Okay, so I know a lot of this was done at home. If you want to pop it in the vote, you can. If not, we'll vote on the other two.
I think we should pop it in, Jan.
And then this one, again, I've just done the Partners in Crime, which again is on the stamp set. And I just wanted to pop nice and simple and just keep it as a, you've seen us do the alcohol colouring so many times. I think a lot of us sort of reach for the alcohol markers because they're so nice and straightforward to use. Okay.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant, adorable stamps. Those they are. They're gorgeous.
Yeah,
really are.
Bit of fun.
Let me take you back through then the 4 that you're getting in here, replicating the launch offer for you, which is awesome. So you've got True Friends, which are these ones here. We also then have Hello Gorgeous. This one here is your Dress to Impress. And we have also got Partners in Crime. Make sure you grab those, $23.98 or $31.08. Let me remind you of some of the essential tools that we have on the show for you today as well. Very, very busy across those. The 8x8 stamping platform with that magnetic base there for you. 6 elements here, $19.99 or $23.99 is your price there on that. An absolute essential when it comes to your stamping. We've got the stamping cushion, as I'm now calling it, or the stamping mat as it's officially known, $5.99, $7.95, gives you that spongy texture to be able to stamp in, to get that lovely, clean, clear, crisp stamp every single time. We've also got the rocker blocks on the show for you, so we've got you covered really. Depends how you prefer to stamp. $9.99 or $13.99 for the 4-piece. We also have a 2-piece for you as well, which are the larger rocker blocks. Same price there for you on those ones as well. The craft mat, this is great if you don't have space for one of the big glass mats, but you want to be able to get the same sort of performance and achieve the same techniques. This will allow you to do that, $9.99 or $14.95. We also have the blending tools available for you on the show as well. We've got the round one, which is this one just here. It's the tool itself with the 2 replacement heads, and we've also got the rectangular one, which is called the square one. I know. $3.99 or $4.95 if you want to go for that one. Don't forget about, I'll wait till you see this exciting picture. Don't forget about the Nina cardstock, which is this one just here. You will get 10 sheets there for that price, don't worry. Oh, any 2 there's for £12 or $18. Now, one more stamp set left to see, and I must say, you know this, Jan, one of my all-time favourite stamp sets that we've got here for you. It's absolutely fantastic. I think it is brilliant. I love it. And what I also love about it as well is the sizing. It will go in pop-out boxes. It will go on double Z fold cards. It will work well around the corner. I mean, there's not really any projects you can't do with these, is there, Jan?
We had a fantastic sample from the design team where they'd used this collection in connection with the little slimline folders that we launched yesterday.
Nice.
So the little windows, and they'd done the camping scene in it. It was brilliant. It looked great, yeah.
Lovely TP cards I've seen made using these as well, and all sorts of different card styles you might want to use. Let me take you through then what you're getting included. So you've got Life's a Beach, which is this one, just here, your ice cream van and your beach hut. I'm hopefully going to the beach next week. I'm going to Blackpool for the first time ever on Tuesday, Jan.
Have you not been before?
Never, ever
it's a while since I've
never
been,
to
I must
Blackpool.
admit.
So I'll go up the tower and have a ride on the big one, get an ice cream and a stick of rock. It's going to be wonderful. I've also got Road Trip in here as well, so you've got that wonderful Winnebago, you've got your Paul Flamingo in there as well. You are going to get, of course, remember, the dies as well for all of these, to cut these out, which is fantastic. Love this one, the Simple Life with the caravan, the barbecue there as well. And then what you're also going to get is this one here, which is Happy Camper. The other thing you're getting is one of my all-time favourite paper pads included as well. You'll save. Have you seen what you're saving on this? $44.97 or $53.85 is the saving before your Club Inspired discount. This is in the wrong show. This should be in Cartload.
Yeah,
not in this show. It should be in the later show at this price. Let me take you through this as well. 48 sheets in here. One of my all-time favourite sheets from a paper pad is this one.
It's gorgeous.
I know it's simple. Starry sky, a little bit of
gorgeous.
duskiness. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's
I like
a really
the one
wonderful
with the
pad.
little mountain range.
Oh yes, very similar. That one
I like
there.
that one, yeah.
Awesome source. That one. Really
Oh,
great.
It's a tree line, is it, not a mountain?
Oh, is there another mountain? It was a tree line on that one, yeah. I thought there was a mountain in there. There it is.
There, yeah, that's
There's
the
the
mountain
mountains.
one,
Absolutely beautiful. These all design the papers to work perfectly with the stamps and dies themselves. I mean, I remember when we launched this, I remember we did it on a HSM preview, and you guys loved it. It was so popular at the full price. Should be almost £75 or $90, $23.98 or $28.72 for platinum members. It's a, if you don't already own it, you need it in your stash kind of price, I think. Right, we're going to go back to the lovely Jan. I believe, Jan, is it one of my all-time favourites next?
Is it one of your all-time favourites?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your all-time favourite?
The heat embossing.
It is.
Oh,
yeah.
amazing.
Well, we're going to come back to those distress inks. I've just cut my cardstock down a bit smaller so that it doesn't take as long. I'm going to show you, I think this is the most recent one that was launched. There's a new one due out as well. We don't know what the colour is yet, but there's a new colour due out this month, I think. So yeah, prized ribbon. It is literally the most gorgeous shade of blue. So I'm just going to do that background again, but just look. and
nice.
it is very different to the other blues. There are quite a few blues in the range. You've got the faded jeans, which is a proper denim blue. You had Chip Sapphire over there, which is more of a royal blue. This
Chips
has got
on fire?
Chip Sapphire.
Oh, Chip Sapphire. Oh, my chips are on fire. Chip pan fire. That'd be a lovely ink pad colour we can make.
Honestly. And again, I just like to get rid of that extra, that hard edge, otherwise you get the square bits into your...
Sorry, it still tickles me, that. Chips on fire.
Chips on fire. So again, I'm just going to pick some of this colour up. I want a background to, but I just love it. Can you see how it moves about? And this is what I mean about that. You can see in here now where you've got elements of it starting to start that oxidisation process in it. I can see bits here that are going sort of like, almost like a frosted shade in it. It's fantastic the way it works. I'd love to know the actual sort of alchemy behind it all as to how they work.
It's probably top secret, Jan.
It will be, absolutely. And then again, once you've got it to a level that you're happy with, dry that off just to get that secure. It sort of almost sets it. Don't know what that bit is in there. I've got a foreign...
I think we'd have to like infiltrate the Ranger server in some sort of hacking to get the details.
Oh gosh,
I can't even get my AirPods to play on my iPhone, so there's no way I'm going to be able to achieve that, Jan.
But the minute you start drying this, as I say, I'm not sure how well it's picking it up on the camera, but you can see that process. It goes really chalky on the finish, more so than our opaque ink pads do. They do it to a certain extent, but this, you've got that proper oxidisation process. And you can see there where we've got that that lovely depth of colour, but there's all the different layers to it. You know, I've just literally picked that up off the mat, and you've got all those different layers. And then what I'm going to do, and again I apologise because I'm going to have to get rid of that one and bring in a second. Oh, that wasn't a very good choice, was it?
What wasn't?
I've just smeared it everywhere.
Oh, don't you worry about that.
As I say, at home I would bring in another piece of card and actually use that rather than wasting it, but just for time, I want to make sure that's clean so that I'm not going to contaminate the other inks. And then I think we'll go in with a bit of that lighter one as well. I don't need as much. It
looks
of that.
very, I know that our pigment inks are sticky. This one looks very, very sticky in comparison.
It's almost creamy, Joe.
Yeah.
It's a very, very strange sort of texture.
It almost looks more like a paint or a paste when it comes out.
It does, yeah. It's very thick. It's great to work with. As I say, I mean, this is only skimming the surface as to what it will do. But again, I want to try and get that lighter colour. I'm not quite dry. It's just pulling some of the blue off there. But again, I can see that clock ticking away. So yeah, it wanted to be just a wee bit drier. And can you see what I mean about if it's wet, it starts to mix the colour? I've got both colours going on here in this corner. So it does need to be perfectly dry, but I don't mind, we've got that mixture going on there. So I just want a background that I can stamp on. And again, they'll be saying, where's the blue roll gone?
Where's your rag?
Jan used it all. Where's my dirty rag? This is a bit too much for my dirty rag.
Okay.
I think it would be a filthy rag if I don't want to overpower it, bless it.
Okay.
My dirty rag. It's in my bag. It's in my bag, but yeah.
What type of ink, what type of paper is Jan using for dipping in the ink and water? Ask Eva.
You can either use, this is a stamping card that I've got, or you can use the watercolour card. Okay. It wants to be something that's quite robust. I wouldn't try this technique on Nina because it's a lighter weight cardstock. You'll find that it will start and it warps really badly. The ink penetrates the cardstock and it becomes too soft to manage kind of thing.
Do you get a different result if you use a stamping card to a watercolour card when you're doing something like this?
Yes. The reason I like the stamping card is because we're going to stamp over the top of it, and sometimes watercolour card is harder to stamp on because it's got a slight texture to the surface of it. Again, with the stamping platform and the ability to overstamp, you can overcome that. But to just stamp once, I know a lot of people have had issues with trying to use the watercolour card because of that sort of slightly uneven surface on it. So I want to make sure that's totally dry because we're then going to do some heat embossing over the top of it. So what I'm going to do is bring in, just to be doubly sure, the little anti-static bag now, because I want to make sure there's no moisture left on here at all. So again, whenever you heat embossing, these are a great little addition to your tools. If you haven't got one, you can just use some normal talc and brush it on. But you can see I'm just about clear there with the ink. Cornstarch works as well. It's basically something to get rid of any excess moisture. And then I'm actually going to bring in, rather than using the platform, which I always do, I thought we'd do it with the little cushion. So I've popped on here my Love, Laughter and Prosecco.
We've got loads of those little sentiment ones on the website, Jan,
really
in this show.
Yeah.
Buy one, get one half price. There's loads of them. We're probably not going to get time to go through them for you, so do pop yourself over, hit that shop the show button, see those and everything else that's in this show as well.
So this time I'm going to use that clear sticky ink. So when I've stamped it, there won't be an awful lot to see until I actually put the embossing powder over the top. So if I'm using clear embossing powder, then obviously you want like a coloured ink. Let me say that again. If I'm using a coloured embossing powder, I use a clear ink.
Okay.
If I want such as the black to show through, I tend to stamp in black and use a clear embossing powder, is what I was trying to say. So yeah, just make sure that's all nice and sticky. And then we're literally going to stamp this into the centre over the top of that colour. And again, just pop it and give it a good press. Make sure we've got all that detail onto the card. And then I'm going to add a silver embossing powder over the top of this because we've got that nice sticky ink there. As I say, you'll not see much of it on air there, but I'm just going to use a really fine detail silver now. I've just got a bit of card to catch the surplus, but when we put this on now, you'll see that lettering sort of come to life there. Okay? And again, once
Wonderful.
we've heated it, you'll see it even better. So any little speckles, if you do get little bits where you don't want it, just take a dry paintbrush and make sure there's no little speckles where you don't want it on your cardstock, because obviously every little speck of powder will show up once you've heated it, which is where the anti-static pad comes in, but there's always seems to be a little tiny bit that escapes. So I'm going to pop that back into the tub there and get the lid on that so that we don't melt the whole tub of powder, and then move the cushion. Don't heat over your cushion because it will warp it. And the reason I know this is because I've done it.
You don't want a lumpy cushion.
You don't want a lumpy cushion. So again, get that heat tool up to temperature, make sure it's nice and hot. The less time it's on the card, the better, the less warping you'll get for it. And then also, as to whether you heat emboss from the front or the back, for something like this is negligible really. I'm going to take my heat tool underneath so that you can see that actual process working, but I could just as easily do it from above. Alright, so again I'm going to start in this bottom corner here. It takes a second or two for the heat to just penetrate the cardstock, and then you'll see it go from that dull, here we go, look, and it's just, I say it every single time, but it's just magic.
Wowzers trousers is what I'm going to say.
Yep. And then I'm literally going to turn it round so that I don't burn my finger underneath. But once it's changed and turned, move on to the next part. Don't hover over it any longer than need be, and that's it, simple as that. Once it's done, it's done. If you carry on heating it, the powder sort of sinks back into the card, but when I just tilt that into the light now, I think that silver's a beautiful contrast with that prize ribbon one there on the background. But you know, if you're making batch cards, it might just be something as simple as that. I haven't got a finished project for this one because I literally ran out of time while I was prepping, because I came up yesterday, I was at it until the 11th hour on Tuesday night, and this is as far as I got. But yeah, just to pop that on the front of a card, maybe with a little ribbon on the top or something like that, and you've got yourself a nice little cheeky sentiment going on there.
Love a cheeky sentiment.
Yep.
Did you want to pop your bits together for demo of the show then, Jan? We've got about sort of 7 minutes left on this show. Loads and loads of love. Ashford saying how brilliantly you explain the difference in the ink pad. Cecilia says, Joe, you're on fire today. I don't know what that's about, but I think it was about your chips on fire.
Chips on fire.
Chips on fire? What a waste is what I was thinking.
Look at that one now without thinking chips on fire.
Jill says, Joe, you need to go see the Blackpool Lights. Check out when they are turning them on, different every year. I think they're already on. I think they're on from the 1st of October.
All right.
But I think I'm going in the daytime. What time does it get dark at the moment? About 6?
About 6:30, I think.
About 6:30. So if I stay till about 7:30 in the evening, then hopefully they'll be on. What tire? We did that one, and Eleanor saying I love using embossing folders, and Cecilia says I love embossing. It just never gets old. It really doesn't do it. Right, demo of the show then, Jan.
Right, so many moons ago, it seems ages ago, we started at the top of the show with those rotation stamps then. And we used the quick dry inks on that one for, again, fit for purpose. Think about what you're wanting your result to be.
Yeah.
And we made that.
The result that we need from that is Ash should send us some muffins, we worked out, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Please send them in,
to
Ash.
fit in my little box. It's a nice deep box, look. It'd just fit 4 muffins in there nicely, wouldn't it?
Beautiful.
So that was project number 1. Project number 2, we had our first play with those lovely oxide inks and looked at how they work to make a background and also the contrast with the stamping, and that was that interchangeable sentiment stamp there. So that was number 2. And
Brilliant.
then number 3 was a very quick put together because I'd done the colouring at home, but this is the alcohol colouring on this one and those classy and sassy. So 1, 2 or 3, I don't really think this one warrants actually being in the vote because it's just a bit
let's pop it in anyway. 1, 2, 3 or 4. Why not, Jan?
Want, but it's
Why
just
not?
a bit of card, that one.
You've only got 2 minutes to vote. Get your votes in. Crafty TV on Facebook, Crafty Companion over YouTube. I want to go through. You guys are absolutely loving the Distress Oxide ink pad. So let's go back through those again and share with you those options there. So this one just here, this is your Forest Moss. It's a lovely sort of deep browny green colour that you got there. This one here is your Peacock Feathers, so really nice. I guess it would play nicely with something like our Parakeet, that one there. This one here is your Pumice Stone. Rusty Hinge is this one here. Still cackles from the gallery. And a snort there as well. Honestly, children, we work with children. Scattered Straw, I mean that's rich coming from me, isn't it? This one here is your Tumbled Glass. You've got your Crackling Campfire, which is that one just there.
The newer shades, that one.
Sorry?
So that's one of the newer ones.
Really, that's one of the new ones.
Perfect Halloween colour, that one.
Milled Lavender, I love lavender.
Really
kind of like a really pale lavender lilac, that one, isn't it? Then we've got Festive Berries, beautiful.
Really Christmas red.
Salty Ocean.
Beautiful.
Like a wonderful sea blue there. Picked Raspberries. Pine Needles. Abandoned Coral. Love that one. We've also got the brushed corduroy in there as well. So that's the first ones. Oh, we're not stopping there. There's even more over on the website is what I'd say to you as well. Lucky Clover is that one there. Beautiful deep green. This is one of my favourite colours, I've got to say. The Kitsch Flamingo. It's a real pale flamingo pink, that one there. Rustic Wilderness.
That's one of the newer shades as well,
Victorian Velvet.
That one's got to be one of my favourites.
You like that one, do you?
It's a proper velvet pink.
Right.
It's perfect, the name for it,
This one here is your Salvaged Patina.
That's one of the newer shades as well,
You've got Prize Ribbon.
That's a newer one.
Love that
So
one. That was the one you used as well, wasn't it?
into these, there's some of them are new shades that have only come out this year.
Perfect. Ground Espresso. Love that one. Real dark deep brown. This, if I was an ink pad, Twisted Citron.
Twisted Citron.
Bitter and twisted. That's me.
And sassy.
Sassy and so much sass. Candied Apple. I'd be Salty Ocean apparently. Thank you for that vote of confidence there, Georgina. Just bear with me whilst I just turn my talk back off. There we go. Candied Apple is this one. She says I'm sweet like candied apples. Too little, too late now, Georgina.
Trying to claw it back now.
Dried Marigold is that one there. This one here is your Speckled Egg.
That's one of the newer shades.
Chip Pan Fire.
It's on fire,
Chipped Sapphire is on there. And you've also got the Weathered Wood in there as well. Weathered Wood, awesome. They are all the colours we've got. There are how many extras on the website, Georgina? I don't know.
Oh, there's 90 odd colours in the original range.
We've got 4 extra in the oxides that I don't have in the studio, and we've also got all of the distressed inks as well as the oxide. So absolutely get yourself over there. All the same pricing for you. $4.99, $5.99 becomes $3.99, $4.79.
What I would recommend, Joe, if you're buying into those as a system, is to make yourself some swatches. So all I do is get some card, probably the stamping card, sprudge a little bit direct to your card, let it dry, and then I use a punch, either a circle circle or a square punch to punch them out, write your colour on the back of it, and then you can actually see where all the colours fit into the sort of rainbow of colours, because there is a definite gradation of where the blues go into the turquoises, into the greens, and you know, sort of having that rainbow, you can see them then. And if you're wanting to do a project, you can take your swatches and match them to papers and things like that, or coloured pens, and it's a really nice way of actually seeing what colours you've got there rather than just banking on the tins basically. Yeah.
Amazing. I really hope that helps. Cartload, Jan and I coming your way in just over 2 hours time. So many incredible deals. Definitely get yourself over to the website, hit the shop the show button for the later Cartload show. Have a look what's on there. There's a lot of last chance items in that show that I fear may sell out actually before we get to the show. So that's coming up 7 p.m. in the UK, 2 p.m. East Coast, 11 a.m. West Coast. Then tomorrow, I believe it's myself and Michelle back with you at midday in the UK, 7 a.m. East Coast time for Wake Up Call. We're going to be having a little look at all the wonderful things that are going to come up that's going to take you into your weekend in style. And the lovely Debbie Fisher, my TV wife, The Fish, is here. I think she's here Friday and Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, which will be lovely. A card of the show is number 1, numero uno, Jan.
That doesn't surprise me.
Absolutely not.
Yep, so that lovely gift box, it's still sat empty at the minute, but nice sturdy gift box for you there with that rotation stamp. Thank you very much.
Well, what an incredible show. Thank you very much, Jan. Thank you to all of you at home as well. Don't forget to check out your baskets. What an incredibly educational show this has been. Remember, you can watch this show and any other show back on our website anytime you like, which is amazing, either where you're watching it now or over on the website, which is also where you can place your order, crafterscompanion.co.uk.com or .eu. Right, we're going to go and have a bit of a gossip and a natter, maybe get ourselves a little bit of dinner, but make sure you join myself and Jan back here in 2 hours time for an incredible cartload. See you then.